Hello, I'm happy to join you once again. I do hope you're well. Today I would like to talk about effective communication and the barriers that affect effective communication, whether at the workplace or in our own personal space. Communication is exchange of information. Effective communication is passing on communication in an effective manner where both the sender and the recipient both send and receive the message as intended. Effective communication is quite important to us because information is always passed all around. Some ways where we can effect communication include empathy. If I'm passing information to you, what type of information am I passing to you? Is it information that is going to affect you? Is it information that is going to change your understanding, change your view, change your perspective, affect your emotions? How am I communicating? Whether it's face to face, whether it's on the phone, whether it's on email, you need to consider, is the platform formal? Is the communication formal? Is the communication informal? Who am I communicating to? What am I targeting in that information? Because sometimes you can be sending information with the best intention, but it is received wrongly. So it is always good to just take some time and think before you send a message, before you communicate. How does it come out? Will it affect? There are some barriers to effective communication which I really want to highlight in this platform. Our own perception, our own worldview affects communication. When we send communication, do we remove bias? Do we remove prejudice? Do we remove our ethnic affiliation, tribal affiliation when you're communicating? Or does it affect your communication? Communication is very important because breakdown in communication has actually led to wars because of what is perceived. Perceivement is a big element in communication. How am I perceived? How is this information perceived? Who is it coming from? How is it communicated? Another barrier to communication is, of course, there's language. Which language are you using to communicate? Is it reaching your intended group? Who are you communicating with? Are they understanding what you're saying? Like, accent is a barrier to communication, probably even when you travel to the West and you've not been oriented to tuning your words in the sense of intonation. It can be a barrier. Accent can be a barrier. That is why normally when you are exposed to the foreign markets, you are asked to neutralize your accent so that information can be heard. I hope you can be able to understand what I'm saying. That's another thing. Another barrier to communication can be insensitivity. It doesn't matter whether you're reinforcing bad behavior. It doesn't matter whether it's a warning you're passing through. Over time, I have learned, as much as you're trying to reinforce a behavior or bring to attention bad behavior, the way of communication also affects how it will be received. Because if you're not really emotionally mature, you may refuse to take the message and focus on the message bearer. And this is also a barrier to communication. When you receive a message, are you focusing on the message itself or the person who has sent the message? It is good to be objective when you're sending or receiving a message. Don't be subjective. It's not about Beatrice, it's about what message is being passed across. Face-to-face communication is actually important, but sometimes we forget. It is good to be deliberate and intentional, and always take note. Don't get lost in the moment. When you're face to face talking to someone, give a professional distance. If you're not so close to the person, don't go for a hug, a kiss, maybe a handshake. Formal setting, a handshake will do. Cultural settings, before you actually know how do these cultures operate. A handshake. I've gone for some trainings and I normally go for a handshake, and a handshake is not allowed between a woman and an older man. So it is always good to just do some background research of probably the people you are visiting, or the people you're going to talk to, or the people you're working with, because effective communication is actually very important in the workplace. In the workplace, we spend a lot of time in the workplace, and you will not want to have some barriers that affect how you're doing your work. And in this era of fast messaging in social media space, before you send a message, whether it's on WhatsApp, whether it is Instagram, who are you communicating with, and how are you sending that information? I normally say to be on the safe side. Just use concise information, just the same way you take time to type a proper wording, unless it's somebody very close who you normally joke around with. It's actually interesting how people are perceived, because perceived is almost taken as reality. Just the way you send to me messages, I can be able to tell what is your level of education, what is your level of understanding, how seriously do you take issues. So communication is quite an interesting topic. It goes quite a long way, because communication also covers etiquette in the personal space, in the professional space, how you behave, how your behavior affects other communication, unconsciously and consciously. It is always good to be conscious. So this is quite a good topic, and I'm quite passionate about it. Effective communication. Because if you can actually get that, if you can actually improve and be more deliberate in your communication skills, it can actually make your life more enjoyable. Before I close this, there's also something I wanted to talk about. It's also part of communication. Remember, in this world, we have different communication styles. I may be able to express myself well. Somebody else may not be very comfortable in expressing. They may be more comfortable in writing. Other people may be more comfortable in listening. Other people may be more comfortable in talking or in presentation. So we all have different ways of communication, different communication styles. Expressive, listener, amicable, non-talker, talker, somebody who empathizes. Just the way we have different personality styles. We have the choleric, we have the sanguine, we have the phlegmatic, we have the melancholy. And their styles of expressions are different. Cholerics are more assertive. Sanguines are also expressive. Melancholies are not. Phlegmatics are not. So you should know how to handle these different personalities, in how they perceive things and in how they communicate. Well, that is my lesson for today. I hope it's gonna help you. If you want to learn more, look out for us. We are the Workforce Group. We offer training services to organizations. We also offer coaching, mentorship, and facilitation of programs. See you again.